My name is Emily Herrick, and I have been following a ketogenic diet for almost 2 years. I've been using food to kind of manage my mental health a lot longer than that. About 8 years ago, I wanted to taper off of my psych meds. I had really bad postpartum depression. I had really severe asthma. And, after my son was born, and I gained a lot of weight. Even going for a short walk was impossible for me. I struggled to breathe. My weight got up very high. So even moving was uncomfortable. And I just realized I've been trying medications my whole life. I'm not doing any better. Is there anything out there that can help me? And what would happen? Would I be better if I was not on these medications? In the process of exploring what my options were, someone suggested a gluten-free, dairy-free, kind of like a Whole30 type diet. I noticed that when I quit gluten, my anxiety, and I had severe depression. My depression just pretty much vanished when I did that. And so this was my first big awakening. Oh, there might be more going on than I ever knew. And I really need to kind of explore that. So I kind of went on and off gluten-free diet for a while, but when it finally stuck, 8 years ago, a gluten-free diet was a diet a lot lower in carbs. There was not gluten-free substitutes for everything. My life got a lot better. Fast forward to 2 summers ago, and I got COVID for the first time. And after COVID, I had terrible brain fog. I was like, what is going on? Why can't I think? It was a couple of months later that I, on Twitter, stumbled onto Dr. Chris Palmer's account and started seeing what he was about. And instantly I was like, okay, I believe that this could help me because I've had so much success with other types of diets. And one thing I connected instantly was that the couple of years prior to getting COVID and ending up in the place where I had this terrible brain fog, I had started incorporating a lot of those gluten-free treats into my life, cookies, things like that. I had put on about 12 to 15 pounds. I had lost a whole lot of weight when I changed my diet and went off and got tapered off of my antidepressants. But my weight was back up a little bit. It had been COVID. So I was like, I'm going to try a ketogenic diet. I did it. Within a few days to a week, my brain fog was completely gone. And I had started losing weight, which made me happy. So I stuck with it. But what I noticed and didn't expect was that within a couple of weeks to a month, the intrusive thoughts that I had really struggled with my whole life were just gone. It went from having them every day, multiple times a day, especially at night, to I'm laying down in bed and I feel peaceful and I'm not battling this. And I was like, okay, there's really something to that. I was hooked, and for the most part, I've deviated some, but for the most part, I've stayed in ketosis for almost 2 years now. I had a really difficult childhood. I had some trauma. I had some very difficult things happen. And so I spent a lot of time in therapy talking about those things and going over those things, never really making any progress. When we talk about trauma, a big part of my response was that I used food to cope. And the foods that I used to cope are the foods that, even though I was very athletic when I was younger and very slim, I'm sure that from a very young age, I had insulin resistance. And even if I didn't have insulin resistance, I was on a blood sugar roller coaster. So it's like, well, how much of it was the trauma that sent me to doctors and therapists, and how much of it was just simply the fact that my coping skill was to consume large amounts of food that we now know were really bad for my metabolic health and had this downstream effect. But when I got off the meds and got on a diet and started walking, it was like, all of these things that happen were still difficult, still a part of my story, but I'm so much stronger in who I am. I don't get dysregulated. I don't get off track when I think about them, or even when I'm presented with new difficulties. It's like, this way of life, I'm just a different person, and everybody in my life knows it. Like, I mean, people are kind of used to it now, but when this first started happening, people were like, how is this possible? Like, how is this girl? I mean, there was points in my story where my family was planning my funeral. Like, they did not think I was going to make it, and I didn't think I was going to make it either. For all of this to have turned around through things that a lot of people still kind of think, this can't be a serious intervention. Like, it's had a huge impact. I mean, it's resonating with people online, but it also really resonated with people who saw me struggle, not just for months or years, but really from the age of like 12 into my 30s. I get a lot of people reach out to me who fall off. Like, they start, they want it, they get some benefits, and they fall off. And I can really relate to that, because with all the major dietary changes I've made, I've had that experience. And I would just say, like, don't look at people's success on social media and think that if you fall off, that means this isn't for you. For me, it's very much like riding a bike, and every time I fall off now, I'm much faster to get back on. So just know, like, that's normal. Everybody's not doing this perfectly, like you might see. Like, it might appear on social media. People sometimes are like, are you mad? And I'm like, no, I'm not mad. Like, I'm just so grateful. Like, I don't know how long my life will be, but I don't want to spend it being mad that people didn't have the answer. I just want to spend whatever time I have being incredibly thankful that I found the answer, when my son was very young and didn't have to have a sick, unhealthy mother, and then hopefully spread hope to everybody I can. Like, because I know there's so many people. I mean, my DMs, like, I get DMs all the time. My son is just like you. My daughter is just like you. How can I help them? And that's why, I mean, that really is the only reason why I do this. I don't know that everybody can have a story like mine and like so many people that I've connected with online, but I believe that the vast majority of people